They were fully compliant. Ripple was not worried. That's BS. It's all theater. Because RippleNet was fully KYC compliant, fully KYC and anti-money laundering, AML, anti-money laundering compliant. Plus it had a rule book that all of the banks signed up to. All right, so watch this, my friend. So this is Project Mbridge. This is on the BIS website. I'm still on the BIS website here. Project Mbridge. All right, right here. In tandem, the project steering committee has created a bespoke governance and legal framework, including a rule book tailored to match the platform's unique decentralized nature. Isn't that interesting? So we've got this guy from Swift. He was at Swift for 20 years. He's saying how Ripple has a rule book that can be trusted. It's fully compliant. It's got a legal framework. That's what he said. There's governance, legal framework, and a rule book. He just said that about Ripple. And here, the Mbridge project has a rule book. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? Now, in the first video, in part 1 of the Mbridge XRP Ledger series that I launched a few days ago, I showed how the Mbridge has everything is identical to the XRP Ledger, right? Even from the way that they issue CBDCs, everything is absolutely identical. Everything about Mbridge is absolutely identical to RippleNet and the XRP Ledger and so on and so forth. But now, again, even more evidence, there's a rule book just like RippleNet. Isn't that interesting? So now I'm on the Ripple website. Let me zoom this in. Tiny bit. What do we have here? Benefits of RippleNet. One simple integration. Standard rules. All network members adhere to the RippleNet rulebook. A common global framework with functional standards and SLA. Isn't that interesting? Okay, so we're going to continue listening to him. So he continues. He talks about Ripple for a while, all the benefits of the Ripple current, all that stuff. Now we're going to continue listening. I skipped it about a minute here. Listen to what he says here about liquidity, and then I'm going to go back to the BIS document, show you every time it talks about liquidity provisioning. Listen to this carefully, guys.
America, Africa as well, so that players in that particular market are not constricted by having to have dollars or moving funds into different currencies as well. So that's the X-current part of the system, the ability to pay away in a certain currency in real time and being able to see exactly where your payment is taking place. The next one, XRapid, is, so for a different type of service, is where we're looking at the liquidity levels and the amount of capital needed in order to do a transaction to a different country. Here, what we're using, instead of switching into dollars to pay a dollar nostro, is with locally, I would perhaps take Nigerian Naira into XRP. XRP is the underlying asset, and at the other end, the other party switches from XRP into its local currency. So what we're looking at is liquidity instantly being available through a vast amount of XRP currency in order to facilitate local transactions being able to pay away into local markets. And that happens again in real time with a guarantee that there's no fluctuation on the currency as that particular digital asset moves across. Remember, it's in real time as well.
So he's talking about Ripple XRapid. You can have liquidity provisioning, like you can see it's instant liquidity. It's got all these advantages for liquidity. Now we're going to go back to the same document. This is a BIS Innovation Hub. It's the exact same one I had earlier. So we've confirmed that Mbridge has a rule book and RippleNet has a rule book. Now we're going to look about liquidity, because he said the advantage of using Ripple XRapid is for liquidity provisioning, right? It's about liquidity. Being able to access liquidity, monitoring liquidity, and so on and so forth. All right, let's see here. Liquidity. Settlement corresponding bank occurs in commercial bank credit representing a liability of the commercial bank. As such, it carries the associated credit and liquidity risk, where settlement funds may not be available in the event of illiquidity and insolvency. Again here, same one, to access liquidity. Access to liquidity. See here, for example, central banks needed to ensure sufficient liquidity was available in local currency for transactions. It's all talking here about the benefits of Project Mbridge. And it's talking about the difference between using the correspondent banking, which is what Ripple replaces. So it compares using correspondent banking, the old system, versus using RippleNet and the XRP Ledger for liquidity. It's a comparable here. This is what the document's all about. Mbridge, Project Mbridge. So again, central banks needed to ensure sufficient liquidity. Now, talks about liquidity on the platform. So as a result, many banks relied on requesting foreign currency against pre-existing balances in nostro accounts. Exactly what he was talking about. earlier. I should have actually let him talk for 10 minutes because this is exactly what he explained. The Nostro-Vostro accounts, how the system is obsolete, correspondent banks not needing to go through correspondent banks, and you can just access straight liquidity. That's what he was saying. So let's read this here. Given the need to rely on existing correspondent banking relationships for liquidity, the real value nature of transactions and the short time span of the pilot transactions took place, for the most part, between banks with pre-existing business. So FXPV, it is therefore important that liquidity provision and management functions, along with measures to facilitate FX dealing on Bridge, are appropriately integrated into the platform in the future. What is XRapid? First, he talked about XCurrent. Then he said about XRapid is about having access to that liquidity and being able to monitor liquidity and so on and so forth. It's exactly what it's saying here. It's about integrating, important that liquidity provision and management functions, along with measures to facilitate FX dealings on Bridge, are appropriately integrated into the platform. So it's important that XVIA exists on this platform. Don't worry, because this is the XRP Ledger. Mbridge is the XRP Ledger, my friend. Just like every other project that you see that talks about the same things, right? Instant liquidity, instant settlement, cross-border, instant finality, blah, 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 blah. After a while, you just get so sick and tired of their lies and their BS. So don't mind my frustration. Just after a while, you just get so fed up. Lie after lie, deception, manipulation, twisting this, twisting that, using 100 different words, 100 different terminologies, just so my friends cannot figure out what is going on. This is how they operate, these guys. They want to rule the world without you knowing. They only want you to find out they're ruling the world when it's too late, when you're a slave. That's when they're okay with you figuring out what the heck they're doing. All right, so here, so again, liquidity here, liquidity. It's all about liquidity, relationship for liquidity. So here, suggestions for improvement included introducing FX market makers, liquidity providers to facilitate FX dealing on Bridge. Liquidity management tools, isn't that interesting? What is XRapid? It's a liquidity management tool. Interoperability with domestic systems and application programming interfaces, APIs. What's Interledger Protocol do? An API with XRP. Now, when it talks about interoperability between payment systems, that's Interledger. It's not the same as Quant. Quant is interoperability between kind of any platform and legacy systems and blockchain, and any blockchain as well. But the Interledger Protocol is a very specialized protocol for interconnecting payment networks. And that's why when you see the BIS documents, it always shows the Interledger Protocol connecting the unified ledgers. Why? Because the XRP is a unified ledger. I'm going to prove that in a minute. Now, remember earlier how I showed you that the BIS document talks about a shared ledger? It mentions it like 15 times or 9 times, a shared ledger, the shared ledger, a shared ledger, or a shared platform. All right, so we're going to listen here. It's going to be 7-8 minutes. This is very important for you to listen to. So this is a clip of one of my other videos where I explain and I show clearly that the shared ledger, unified ledger, regulated liability network, Finternet, all those things are the XRP ledgers. Very important for you to listen to this. Bear with me 1 second here. Oh, and I wanted to tell you something. Oh yeah, that's right. I want to ask you to subscribe. I wanted to remind you to subscribe. Click. Please subscribe. Please subscribe. I'm going to keep reminding you every 10 minutes. You might as well subscribe. That way the video won't be as long, right? I won't be harassing you every 10 minutes. So, you know what? This guy's going to stop bugging me. I finally subscribe. He can just go on with the video. I'm just teasing you guys. Appreciate your support, guys. I really appreciate it. All right, so let's listen to the GOAT. Let's see what he says here. You really don't want to miss this part. So I'm going to rant. So like I said, it's a clip of one of my other videos. And so it's going to go like 6-7 minutes, but you absolutely need to watch this. It's probably one of the most important parts that people have liked about my content. Just 1 sec here. Thanks. So right here, Gilbert Verdian, when he's talking about the regulated liability network, he says, we also partnered with R3, who is bringing in the shared ledger where all of the tokenized assets will reside. So he just finished saying that they provide the programmability, interoperability, and the banking grade API for the project. And now he continues to talk.
We're also partnering with R3 on the project, which are bringing in the shared ledger where all the tokenized assets will reside.
So Quant is partnering with R3, who's bringing the shared ledger where all of the tokenized assets reside. Tony McLaughlin from Citibank said that when he was talking about the Regulated Liability Network. City Digital Dispatch, episode 1, Regulated Liability Network. This was about maybe 6 weeks ago. He was talking with Ryan Rugg, head of digital assets for Treasury and Trade for Citi. This is where he talks about 25,000 data centers, 25,000 databases, separate islands of data. He's talking about banks, how they all have different data centers.
Hey my friend, I hope you enjoyed the video. I just want to take a minute to show you the Apex crypto community. I'm going to start by getting my big hit out of the way here, so I'm going to disappear for a sec so that I can show you around. So in the community, we have live Q&A sessions twice per week. You just ask me questions back to back. It's all on video. It's really cool. And they're recorded so you can watch them later. I'll explain this in more detail in a minute. There's the discussion threads. So we drop all the alpha here, all my deep dive documents, anything I find that helps the community, and the whole community is just dropping stuff here. It's really cool. So you've got Ripple, Q&T, Stellar, different discussion threads, and there's the courses. So I'll start by explaining the courses. So here under courses right here, these are all of my deep dives, whether new deep dives, older deep dives, exclusive deep dives. All of my content is all organized perfectly for you. All my new deep dives would be released here first. I always try to release them in the community before releasing them on YouTube. And then for this course here, there's many videos in here already right now. These are deep dive best moments. So these are short video series. So I'm taking all the best and most important moments of every deep dive, I'm condensing them and putting to a short video. So instead of a 40-minute, 30-minute video, you can watch all the best parts for maybe anywhere between 6 to 15 minutes. So these are all basically condensed alpha only short videos from my deep dives. So if you want to see proof that the unified ledger, shared ledger, regulated liability network, the regulated settlement network is all the XRP ledger, you would go under this course here. For example, these are 3 deep dives that I did here showing all of the proof. If you want to see evidence that the Federal Reserve is definitely working with Ripple and XRP, you would go under this course here. There's 2 deep dives here. So 2 videos, approximately over an hour for sure. These maybe 2 hours. If you want to see all the proof of the connections between the IMF and Ripple XRP, the true hidden history of XRP and how it's technically the new special drawing rights of the IMF, really, really deep stuff here. You would go under this course here. It's actually 4 deep dive. So 4 videos here that I've done. You want to see the connection where the World Bank talks about the XRP in detail, a framework, you would go here. Who really created Bitcoin? If you want to know the real story about Bitcoin, you would go here. If you want to see all the evidence that SWIFT, which is connected to over 10,000 banks, you really want to see how they're using XRP Ledger and how they're going to use XRP, you would look at these 3 deep dives here. You want to know anything about Q&T right here. These are my 7 deep dives of Q&T right here. You can't even put a price on that. I spent over 5,000 hours researching Q&T, and I've spent over 9,000 hours researching XRP. So you want to understand Project Mbridge and see all the evidence that Project Mbridge is using the XRP Ledger, you would go here. There's 3 deep dives here. Project Mbridge became BRICS. So that's connected to all the BRICS nations. If you want to understand the difference between Quant and XLR, it would be here. You want to see the real deep connection and relationship between Ripple and R3 and see all the proof that R3 is going to use the XRP Ledger, you would go here. Want to understand the difference between XRP and XDC in regards to R3 Corda, what is XDC's role and what is XRP's role, you would watch these deep dives that are in this course here. So 2 videos here. So here, the BIS Innovation Hub. So that's Project Mariana, Project Jura, all the projects under Bank for International Settlements. That's the BIS. I did 12 deep dive videos here covering 12 of them, all showing that they're all using the XRP Ledger. So technically, all my deep dives are all organized perfectly here. And then by the time you're watching this video, there's probably a lot more content that's been added depending on when you're watching this video. I'm going to be also dropping all of my interviews with all the different content creators and amazing people that I have been privileged to be on their show. So for example, Paul Barron, I always do interviews with Paul Barron. This is going to be here, and other interviews as well. For those videos where I've been interviewed or was on a podcast with another content creator and they invited me, it'll be a link that brings you to their YouTube channel out of respect for them. So that'll be there. More and more and more courses are going to be added here because recording new videos every day. So this is going to keep filling up. Again, depending on when you're watching this video, this was recorded at the very beginning. So there might be another 20 courses as we speak here. On the left-hand side here, you have many different tabs. So this is the Apex Live Q&A session. We will live Q&A. This is like a Zoom call. So this is a video and you can ask me anything. So the community just asks me question after question after question. It's really cool. And everything is recorded and dropped in the community for you to watch it later. If you know you cannot make it, you just just drop your question here under the live Q&A question section. Drop it right here, and I will do my best to answer it verbally. All of the recording from the very beginning since I started my community are all recorded and dropped here, so you can even watch the last 10, 20, 40 Q&A sessions if you want. It's all there in the community, so value just keeps accruing and accruing in the community. Here are the different threads. So here is where we discuss on a daily basis. The community drops alpha constantly. For example, I'm dropping many of my exclusive documents in here that I use for my deep dives. Everything's dropped here. You can't even imagine what you'll find here. And the community is also dropping different things. It can be videos, it can be documents, it can be anything, helping us to all grow and really gain some ridiculous advantage in this coming fourth industrial revolution. So that was Ripple XRP. This is the QNT. This is the trade for Stellar XLM. We've got HBAR, XDC, and we've got other utility tokens here. Any utility token that you believe is a really good token, you can drop it here. Here is the crypto news, macro and regulation. So anything that has to do with the macro environment, you can drop it here. You can ask questions and the community or myself will try to answer you. I can't always get to the questions, obviously, because the community is growing so fast, but that's why I created the Q&A question thread so that you could drop your questions and I will answer that. So that's the full community. That's what you get with the premium membership. It's only $49 right now. It's ridiculously cheap. And if you lock in at that price, it's guaranteed for life and you get the 7-day free trial. So you can cancel anytime within 7 days and doesn't cost you anything at all. I don't know when I'll increase the price and how high, but this is really a low price. And as you can see, this is not just a regular Patreon or Discord. This is a full-blown platform. It's built on Circle, which is the top platform in the world right now for communities. The interface is just amazing. It allows me to really provide a lot of value to the community by building it on the Circle platform. So thanks again for joining the Apex Crypto community. We're really happy to have you on board with us. I'm really looking forward to meet you in there. Thank you so much. Wishing you a great day, great night, great evening, wherever you are, and God bless you so much. Thank you.